Hey guys, what's going on? This video is actually designed for people who are trying to get into commercial lending. So if that's you, maybe you're a loan officer now who does residential loans. Maybe you're a real estate agent who wants to learn more about lending and you're trying to decide whether you should go the residential or the commercial route. I gotta tell you, myself, my name is Avi Shafram. I'm an owner of a company called Loanbrook. I do both residential and commercial loans, and I've done it for, since 2016 is when I opened my shop. But what I wanted to share with you is my experience in loans actually was previous to me opening my shop. And prior to that, I actually had a team of people that I managed. And what I've noticed is that these people typically lacked the fine detail of really knowing their customer and what their customer, is trying to do and why they're trying to do it. And so what I wanted to share with you today is if you are thinking about getting into commercial lending, there's two things that I want to tell you. Number one is that tomorrow I'm actually launching the Part-Time Commercial Lender Academy, which I'm really proud of. It's something that I've been working on for about a year, and it will be available, and you can check it out in the description below. All right, and that would actually help you get started if you wanted to join a team and get started with commercial lending. It would really give you all the tools that you need to get started with really simple to follow roadmap that I personally designed myself. So I'm very proud of that. Now, number two, if you want to learn more about it, I would say just like any business, paying attention to detail is really important in lending, and knowing who your borrower is. And when I say who is your borrower, in lending, you have both people and entities, all right? And then sometimes the individual will sign as a guarantor. Sometimes they'll be required to sign as a guarantor. So we first start with who is this person that is trying to get a loan? And the reason I say that, it might seem pretty silly to you, but is it the person or is it the company? Sometimes people wouldn't know the answer to that. All right, and if it is the company, then what kind of a company is it? What do they do? Do we have any idea of what their financials look like? Did you get a chance to look at those? Is it a profitable company? Meaning that if there's a top line of gross sales and there's some expenses, is there a profit at the bottom? And if so, like approximately how much? That would really help me determine if somebody would actually be qualified to get a loan. Does the company rent? When you look at their schedule of their corporate returns, you would see that the company is renting a space. How much are they paying? Maybe the mortgage payment would be substitute to the rent payment, and then I could see if they're in line, if there's still profit in the company. Did you look at that? Could you tell me a little bit about that person or the entity? Or maybe it's persons. Maybe there's more than one individual who owns either that company or a partnership or whatever it may be. So these are really important questions, because not only would I want to know who that person is, I would also want to know a little bit about their credit and their experience, because I'll share this information with you. If somebody was to come to me today to get a loan, right? I guess it would depend whether they're trying to get a loan for their business or for an investment property or for a, personal residence. But let's just assume that it was for a piece of real estate that they're going to do, they're going to be investors on, right? Do they have a portfolio of real estate? Do they have a resume to show me how many properties they've actually owned or turned, and what type of properties, residential or commercial? Do you have that information available? And do they actually have good credit? Are they responsible? Do they pay on time? Because if I'm a lender, I'm giving them a loan, I want to make sure that not only do they have the ability to repay, but they have a track record of repaying the loans on time, right? So that, I think, covers who is this individual. So if you're going to get involved in lending, whether you have experience or not, first time around when you meet somebody and they tell you, hey, I really want to get a loan, you should ask, great, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Is it for you? Is it for somebody else? Is it for your company? And if it's for your company, how many people are in your company? Have you guys owned real estate before? Is it going to be under you personally? Do you have good credit? Those sort of questions. Moving on to the what, right? So a lot of times I would ask the loan officers, I'd be like, okay, well, what kind of loan do they want to get? I don't know. Okay, great. For how much? Not 100% sure. Against which asset? Is it leveraged by an asset? Or do they just want a business loan that's going to be tied to their financials? Mind you, most of the loans we do are tied to real estate, and that's why I ask those questions. All right, and those are very important questions to ask, because if you're going to leverage a piece of property, there are certain limitations as to how much you can actually leverage, meaning that typically in the commercial world, unless it's income generating property, typically you see loans around 70% loan to the value, meaning that an owner user would have to come in with 30% down payment, unless you're doing an SBA loan. And then at that point, you could finance 100% of the deal, assuming you make enough money to qualify for that kind of a loan, which would also be pretty similar to if you're trying to get a residential loan at a higher loan to value. It might be available as long as you can qualify the income. It's kind of like the same concept. I would want to know, if somebody's getting a loan, in what position are they trying to get this loan? Are they trying to get a loan in first position, or are they trying to get a loan in second position? And do they actually have a loan now? And how much do they owe? These are all great questions to ask somebody, because it gives you an idea of the leverage against how much the property is worth. And did they actually pay their payment on time? Or is it expiring? Is their loan just expiring? That happens sometimes with business loans and commercial loans, right? A lot of private money loans are bridge loans for like 12 months, whether it's for residential or commercial properties. And then after that expire, you either have to sell the asset to the property, or you have to refinance. Both of those would be your options. So that would be a lot of questions that I would ask around the what's going on, all right? And a lot of times what you could actually do is you could get a little form that basically asks a lot of these questions, and you can kind of check the box, which is ironically what underwriters do when they work on getting you a credit decision for your file. They go through a checklist, and then they make sure they don't miss anything. And then once it's completed, the file is fully underwritten. Same concept, all right? Now let's talk about the why. When somebody comes through the door and they're like, I want to cash out, I want $1 million cash out against my $3 million property. First question is, what do you want to do with that money? Why do you need $1 million, right? So there's got to be a certain use to the money that's appropriate to the lending scenario. Now, when you're working on commercial loans, typically speaking, if somebody's going to cash out of a property, you like to see them reinvest in the property in some way, shape, or form. Now, that's not always the case if it's an investment property, but there's got to be a reason why somebody is cashing out of a property. And I say that broadly just because typically if somebody doesn't need the money, they like to keep the money in the real estate. If they need the money, typically it's either for debts that they have, or they're trying to reinvest it somewhere else, or maybe they're trying to update the property. So what do they need the money for? And, is it for a different venture, which is basically going to be another real estate acquisition, going back to their portfolio? Have they done this before? Are they going to go put their money somewhere where, they've never done a deal like this and the deal might flop, right? The lender is always looking for security with somebody who knows what they're doing, kind of like when you go to the doctor. You're not guessing that this person knows what they're doing. You know for sure that there's not going to be a mistake. This person is licensed to do their job. It's the same type of a thing. You're looking for those credentials. Is it actually related to real estate? So a lot of these questions, I would say, are very important when you're trying to put a deal together. And as a matter of fact, there became a point where we started doing write-ups on every single deal, simply because at that point, a lot of these questions would get answered. And believe it or not, a lot of the loan officers really didn't like doing any of that. But at that point, I would have had to stop asking these questions and basically get a packet in front of me where most of these answers would already be there for me just to review, and then I could logically say, okay, I think this is the type of deal that we could push forward to a lender who could actually look at it and possibly make, a good credit decision on this. All right, a thumbs up and approved credit decision. So that's very important. Now, as I mentioned to you before, very exciting news. Don't mind my artwork, the Part-Time Commercial Lender Academy, which is going to be all these beautiful arrows in your description below. So if you are interested in getting involved in commercial lending, then please feel free to check out the Part-Time Commercial Lender Academy in the description below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, just subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you on the next video.